I decided that I wanted to start the stream a little earlier tonight. Let me see if I could get this stuff right. Start the stream a little earlier tonight than we normally do. I've streamed probably like three. I did a stream last night at 12 a.m. I woke up for about an hour, maybe a little over an hour, maybe a little less. I think it was a little over an hour. Then I did another stream at 7 a.m. I was gonna do another one at 4, but I decided that this would probably be the best time for me to do the next stream. Right, just get done whatever else I need to get done, and then later on, just do the stream. But so big shout outs to Mick Foley. Big shout outs to Mick Foley. Mick Foley is an absolute legend. Mick Foley is not just a legend in sports entertainment, but Mick Foley is a legendary man. He's a legendary human being. Mick Foley actually has a backbone. Mick Foley is one of the toughest wrestlers, if not the toughest wrestler of all time, right? And I don't just mean physically. I also mean spiritually. I mean mentally. I mean, Mick Foley seems to be one of those guys. He stands up for what he believes in. He's not going to bend to the will of others. And he's not going to be peer pressured into believing something outside of who he is. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant guy. He's an author and just a stand-up guy, right? He doesn't have that sort of wrestling ego, right? Where you believe your own hype. Like Mick Foley is about as down to earth as they come. Right. But I don't want to make this too much about Mick Foley, right? However, Mick Foley did have a few things to say about Donald Trump. And the vast majority of the things that Mick Foley has said, I absolutely agree with. I think Mick Foley absolutely hit the nail right on the top, right? Right in the center, hit the nail right on the top. So we're gonna get into what it is that Mick Foley actually said, and I'm gonna actually talk about it and sort of give my analysis. How you doing, Ellie Isabella? Welcome, 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 Steve. Big up, big up. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing as well. Yeah. So I'm gonna get into what it is that we were talking about, what I introduced before, and then we're gonna go from there. And I'll just give you my take on what Mick Foley said while he was saying it.
So, Mick, you wanted to talk about the election?
Yeah, I think it's really important to talk about the election. I think it's important for everyone to have a moment where enough's enough. I mean, for me, enough was enough 8 years ago. The Undertaker is correct in saying Donald Trump made politics fun again.
You've made politics fun again.
For about 3 weeks in 2016.
I gotta be honest about this, right? So he said for about 3 weeks in 2016, right? Mick Foley said that he's over this, right? Like he was over this 8 years ago in 2016. And Mick Foley's absolutely right. So when the Undertaker is talking about making politics fun again, it's not about making politics fun, right? Mick Foley's he's gonna elaborate on that, right? What are your policies? What are you going to be doing for the people? How are you going to bring people together, not tear people apart? Not just make this about you and your buddies, right? Or just you and your ego and then your buddies, right? It's about the people, right? It's about making, giving people opportunity to, become the best versions of themselves, treating people with respect. It's about all of those things, right? All of those things that kind of make you, a great leader, a great president, a stand-up guy, a truth-speaking person, a truth teller, which Trump really isn't. Big shout-outs to you, Coco Wolf. Big shout-outs to you. Is that good? But yeah, Mick Foley's absolutely right about that. Like, this isn't, 2016, you can kind of see, oh yeah, all right, Donald Trump is running. This is before some people anyway, kind of really knew what this guy was actually about. But Mick Foley, you're absolutely right about that. Big up yourself for your take on that.
But it's 8 years later, and there's absolutely nothing fun about this man. To me, there's nothing fun about a man who could be the next president of the United States talking about the enemy within, making it clear that this was not a mistake. This is his go-to line: the enemy within, the enemy within, the enemy within.
It's the enemy from within. The enemy from within. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in.
Which he co-opted.
Now, if you think about the term, right, like when he kind of just uses the term enemies from within, right, you got to think about this guy and the people he looks up to, the Kim Jong-uns and the Putins and the leader of China, right? Like, these are the guys that he really wants to be like, he aspires to be like, right? And he's saying that these people may not be enemies, but the bigger problem are the enemies from within, right? The enemies from within. And he went on to kind of name those people that he sees as the enemies from within. Like, this guy is just unbelievably insecure. People who don't agree with him, it's almost as if he feels as if those people don't matter. Like, other opinions other than your opinion doesn't matter. And it's really unfortunate for somebody to be going up for a leadership position as important as the president of the United States with that sort of mentality. Yeah. Let's hear what else Mick Foley has to say about this.
From Senator Joseph McCarthy, one of the worst people to ever grace our planet. What frustrates me the most is that so many good, hardworking American people cannot see through such an obvious con man who is only out for himself.
Mick Foley, I'm right there with you, Mick. Mick, I agree with everything that it is that you're saying. I actually had a conversation with somebody today, and this is kind of what it is that we were saying, although not verbatim. But yeah, it's like, how does this guy actually have so many people fooled? Right? And they proceeded to call these people names, even though I agreed on one level. I didn't try to really kind of acknowledge it too much verbally, even though I knew that what she was saying was actually true. It's just one of those things where it's like, all right, well, I kind of want to give some of these people the benefit of the doubt, but I just know how dangerous it is. But yeah, Mick Foley, spot on take. Mick Foley, I agree with everything that you're saying so far.
That the working man thinks this guy is behind them has obviously not looked into his past. I know people work hard. They don't always have time to go home and do their research. But instead of tuning into your favorite news station of choice, look up the data.
Yes.
See how many times Donald Trump has failed to pay his contractors and workers over the last 30 years. It's in the hundreds.
And he continues to do it. It may even be more than that, right? And he continues to do it. The other day, he was threatening to not pay people that because his mic kind of stopped working. He's like, oh, we're not going to pay the contractors. Like, these people have employees to pay, right? These people have, utilities to pay, right? These people got to pay their own bills. And this is the kind of dialogue that you have in front of the world because something happened to your little mic. Instead of you showing that you're understanding and that you're a president that kind of cares about the people, nah, you just show them your true colors. 100% Mick Foley, I agree with what it is that you're saying. Cola knows what she's talking about. Delusional, says Covington, Real News Network. Yeah, definitely fake news network. Bye. See you later. Art of Mine, what's good, brother? Art of Mine, I'm not gonna be having any patience for any of those people, especially the ones with the long emojis. right? Like, this is one of those things, guys. We're not going to do like the long emoji talk. I don't even know what it is that he just said just now. But, yeah. Yeah. And then I think he was kind of like trolling Kamala, like mispronouncing and misspelling her name. But it is what it is. Run along and, do what you do somewhere else.
He claims it's because they didn't do good work. This coming from a guy who claims he only hires the best people. I claim he's screwing over the working man. Kevin Nash today told me a story about going into the venue that used to be the Taj Mahal, mentioning Trump's name and seeing the bartender roll his eyes. And the bartender told a story about his father was an electrical contractor, worked hard his whole life to build up that business. And then when Trump did not pay him for the work he did in the Taj Mahal, and the man was unable to fight it because he didn't have the resources to fight it.
I told you guys about this, right? If you guys do remember the episodes, this is probably 2 weeks ago, right? Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? I told you guys that this election, it's the most spiritual election that I've ever seen. And karmic debt will be repaid. I told you guys this. I told you, pay attention to what's going to be happening during these rallies because we ain't seen nothing yet. And as the rallies unfolded even more, we started to see deeply into what it is that was going on. We started to see these people for who they actually were. Some of us anyway. Others of us already kind of knew what it was, right? Maybe some people didn't expect it to be to this extent. But we knew how they felt about Latinos. We know how they feel about black people. We know how they feel about everybody else, right? And we see that Trump is the one that's putting the battery in their backs. Trump. He's the one that's doing it. He's the leader. He gets up there on stage, he gets up there on stage in Madison Square Garden. He was there. Vance was there. Everybody was there. Whole bunch of racist jokes were told. Whole bunch of just nasty. It's almost as if they just got the nastiest of nastiest people and brought him up there on stage at what's the most, in my lifetime, I've never seen a rally that disgusting, to be honest with you. It's like they found the worst of the worst people, brought them up there on stage to express themselves in the most hateful way imaginable. And then he goes, oh, I didn't know about the joke. I didn't hear about the joke. JD Vance, oh, what joke? What joke? Somebody told a joke? Oh, you guys are too sensitive. Huh? Well, if it was the headlines you want, you got it. You got the headlines. And for your troubles, you succeeded at turning people against you that otherwise were giving you the benefit of the doubt. You can't make this up. I told you guys. It's written. This is karmic debt. It was written. It was meant to happen this way. You don't get to sow negative seeds your whole entire life and then feel as if you're going to continue to just steal and just rip the world of all its positivity. That's not how this thing works. It's not how the universe works. What you put in is what you get out. What you deposit is what multiplies and you get out. When you plant an apple seed, you get a bunch of apples, right? Once it grows. That's the way it works. Let's hear what else Mick Foley has to say. Big shout outs to Mick Foley, by the way.
Trump knows that the people, honest, hardworking contractors, don't have the resources to fight him in court. And he bankrupts them. Their dreams disappear. That's not standing up for the working man. Words are cheap, and he lies almost every time he opens his mouth. But you know what he's not lying about? When he talks about coming after the enemy within. The enemy within.
Mick Foley, honestly, it's such a breath of fresh air, man. Hearing somebody like Mick Foley actually say these things. Mick Foley, big shout outs to you. You know, Mick Foley's a New Yorker as well. Mick Foley's from Long Island. Big shout outs to Mick Foley because honestly, certain parts of Long Island are kind of lost. I gotta be honest with you, right? Although I was out in the Hamptons the other day and I did see a few Harris Waltz. I did see, some of those Harris Waltz posters in people's front yards or whatever it is. But when it's all said and done, when it comes to New York, Trump ain't got it. He does not have a chance. And then after that stunt that they put in Madison Square Garden, oh my gosh. But yeah, Mick Foley, I agree with absolutely everything that you're saying up to this point. Brilliant, brilliant take. Thank you so much, Mick Foley.
Who is that? It could be anyone. It could be me. An article came out today in NPR, October 22nd, 2024, with a study that showed Donald Trump had issued over 100 threats to people he perceived as his political rivals. He has threatened to impeach and prosecute Kamala Harris. He accused Barack Obama of treason. He said his chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, should be executed.
Imagine that. Imagine all of those things that Mick Foley just said. Imagine the leader of the country walking around, just anybody that he doesn't like, just calls them out. He's on a revenge tour on them. Just says whatever it is to endanger these people's lives, right? He just did with Mark Milley, right? As Mick Foley just said. Demonizes people. Dehumanizes people. Isolates people. These are the seeds that he's planted right throughout his life. Especially after coming into the political forefront, I guess you could call it, right? Where he was at one point. I mean, he was the president of the United States at one point. Keyword was. It will not happen again. And you see, you go over to I forgot what did it? Some of these Western states. I want to say Nebraska, but I'm probably wouldn't be right. But we're just going to say a few of these Western states that I did hear about. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. You know what? We're not even going to touch on to that yet. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Let's listen to what it is that Mick Foley has to say first.
Nothing to stop what could have been the death of Mike Pence, his own vice president.
Ooh.
Crowd chants, hang Mike Pence. There's a hangman's noose outside.
And now he's gone so far as to say that anyone who criticizes the Supreme Court and other judges should be put in jail. So, Donald Trump, I'd like to talk to...
Imagine that being your right-hand man. Imagine your right-hand man, for one reason or the other, holding you accountable. Your right-hand man decided, well, you know what? I don't agree with you on this issue. I think you're wrong. I think we should just, let bygones be bygones, for lack of a better term. And we should run again for re-election the next time. And imagine a mob of people chanting to hang your right-hand man. And when you're told about this, your response is, so what? So what? Does that strike you as the type of individual that would have the best interest of anyone but themselves? Now, mind you, you're not always going to get along with your friends. You're not always going to get along with the people that you love. Sometimes your personalities are going to collide. Sometimes you guys are going to be upset with each other. But just because you're upset with your friend does not mean you don't still love your friend. And even this isn't even a friend sort of thing, right? This was the vice president of the United States. At the time, he was the vice president of the United States. This is your right-hand man. This is your guy. You selected this guy to be your running mate. But towards the end of your term, all because Mike Pence decided he was not going to be a yes man, all because Mike Pence decided, you know what? Nah. I took an oath to the Constitution. I didn't take an oath to you. I don't agree with what it is that you're saying. And I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. You turned your back on him. It speaks volumes. It speaks volumes about your loyalty. It does. It does. Speaks volumes about you as a human being. Right? And I get it. Sometimes you'll be in situations, guys. You'll be in situations and the people that you have around you, they simply just, you guys grow apart. Or, something may happen where people just start to have a change of heart. Right? But you let bygones be bygones. You go your way, they go their way. But still, there's always that element of, man, you know what? We were through the trenches together. We came up together. You don't want this person to, be harmed in any way, shape, or form. That's the way how I see it anyway. Let's hear what else Saint Nicholas has to say. Big up yourself, Mick Foley.
Directly to you. Are you going to put me in jail for criticizing your Supreme Court? Because I think Clarence Thomas is a disgrace to the Supreme Court. I think Samuel Alito is a horrible person who doesn't belong on the highest court in the land. I don't think Brett Kavanaugh's interview in front of the Senate would have landed him a job as a dishwasher, let alone serving in the Supreme Court for life. I mean, I'm so scared that I was thinking about calling you a douchebag in this interview. And then I thought, that's a pretty strong word. Trump might come after me. And I made the decision not to call you a douchebag, even though you are one. Vote for Kamala Harris.
I didn't even remember that part was in it. Mick Foley, that was gold. That was absolute gold. Thank you for that, Mick Foley. Wherever you are in this world, Mick Foley, you are appreciated. And you're an absolute legend, not only in the ring, but you're an absolute legendary human being, Mick Foley. Legendary human being, Mick Foley. Undertaker lost so much stripes. In my eyes, anyway. Art of Mind says black folk think that Trump gave them extra money is delusional. Covetous black folk. Art of Mind, you're absolutely right about that, man. You're absolutely right about that, because I've heard some of these people say that, but they're so misinformed. They don't understand how those things work. Kamala Harris actually had a thing or two to say about that. Let's see if I can find a clip. Hold on, give me a second. Right. So here it is.
So first of all, let's clear up certain myths.
Okay.
You know those checks that went out?
Yes. Those stimmies.
Right. Right.
Stimulus check.
Yeah, I know. Well, right. Yes. Yes.
We got to be full. Stimulus, but they call them stimmies. Okay.
The reason those came about is because there was a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives and Congress. Mm-hmm. People like Maxine Waters, people like Hakeem Jeffries, right?
Yes.
Who did the work of pushing to say, people need help right now and we need to send out checks. There was a whole lot of opposition to it, including from Donald Trump's White House.
Yes, even him. I think he was resistant to it at first.
Yes. That's why those checks, remember, Congress holds the purse.
Yes.
So really, Congress wrote those checks, but then Donald Trump, unlike any president before or after, decided he put his name on those checks.
So therefore people thought
Donald Trump gave me that check. And so let's clear that up first and foremost,
Okay.
but let's also deal with where he was in terms of his policies on the economy. He gave the biggest tax cuts for billionaires and the biggest corporations, which caused an incredible deficit. He tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which we also call Obamacare, which benefited so many people, including and in particular Black people in America who otherwise were denied by the insurance companies health coverage because of pre-existing conditions.
Yes.
Well, there you have it. There it goes. Kamala's breaking it all down for you. Breaking it all down for you. What a president. What a president she absolutely will be when she is in that White House. I'm so proud of her. Kamala Harris, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud to share the same heritage as you. I'm proud that we have the same roots in Jamaica. I'm proud that we have the same last name, right? I'm proud of everything that it is that you stand for. And one day, Kamala Harris is going to go down as one of, if not the greatest to ever do it. To ever do it. If you think back at how Kamala, just the genius, just the mind of Kamala Harris, right? Think about it. Think about Kamala Harris. Think about what she said, right? She was encouraging people to go out and watch Donald Trump's rally. She was encouraging them to go out and watch Donald Trump's rallies. Because she knew that Donald Trump, he just can't help himself but to show exactly who he is. Somebody says Trump. Yeah, you're wrong. Trump ain't winning this election. I actually voted. My granny voted. My mom voted. I wouldn't say everybody that I know voted, but a fair amount of people that I know have voted, right? I went and voted yesterday because it's after 12:06 now. I went and voted yesterday. It was an easy process. It probably took 6 minutes for me to do it, but I made sure not to leave. You know the little loop, right, where you have to fill in the loop that you have to fill in. I made sure that nothing was left unturned. I made sure that there was absolutely no space left in that hole. Absolutely none. Harris 2024. Oh, what a beautiful day. Hey, guy, you know they're actually setting ballot boxes for mail-in ballots on fire out there in the west of the United States. They're doing it to the Democratic communities out there in the western United States. And it is an absolute shame. Whoever is doing that, shame on you. And these are the people that claim that the last election was rigged. False. Oh, so false. People were tired of your BS. The people were tired of you. And now we have somebody who is actually competent, who is actually a brilliant mind. And some people make because she's a female, it's an issue to them. Some people make because she's African American or Afro Caribbean and, well, Afro American. It's still the same thing. The Caribbean is in the Americas, right? African American and Indian or Jamaican and Indian, however you want to twist it. They try to make an issue out of that. Listen, guys, let's be objective about this. Let's not focus too much on who it is that is going to be saving our country based on what it is that they look like on the outside. Let's look at the intangibles. I see Kamala Harris, and I just see somebody that's fair, somebody that's honest, somebody that doesn't have a problem being truthful. Dylan Hardy. Hey, do you mind? Do me a favor. There's a guy that put Dylan Hardy. Yeah, you're banned, bro. You're banned, bro. No, I'm not Asian and Indian. My last name is Harris. My roots are in Jamaica. Right? Last name is Harris. Okay? Harris ain't an Indian name. I'm sorry. Her mother is Indian, yes. Her father is Jamaican. Huh? So yeah, I know. How does it feel? How does it feel to be so ignorant? You know, there are light-skinned black people. My grandfather, Frederick Harris, was a very, very light-skinned black man. There are light-skinned black people, guys. There are black people who are light-skinned. There are people who are mixed. Yes. People have mixtures in their background. That is a thing. Right? That is a thing. I don't know if you guys can kind of see this, but that's my grandfather right there, Frederick Harris, right? Guys can't really see it, right? Frederick Harris, that's my grandpa right there. Big shout outs to Frederick Harris. That's my other grandpa right there, right? That's my mom's father. Big shout outs to both of them, both great men. Love you guys so much. R.I.P. to my grandpa, Frederick Harris. Everybody that's black isn't dark skinned, guys. That's not how this thing works. That's not how this thing works. Yeah. Doesn't work like that. So if you want to fool yourself into thinking she's not black because of your prejudice and because of your racist and because, dare I say, some of you choose to be stupid, that's on you. Go ahead and push that narrative. Anyway, I spent too much time on you guys. Any of you trolls, you got something to say, send in a super chat or a super thanks or something like that. I ain't gonna be addressing any of you trolls and any of you flip flops. Hey, what audio say? He say trolls and flip flops. I'm not gonna be addressing any of you guys right now. Hold on, give me 1 second. I saw something. Was it Kamala Harris? Hold on, 1 second. I saw something. I think it was Kamala Harris that. Is it here? No, it was probably Club Shay Shay that I saw it on. Yeah, you look. If you guys are upset, if some of you racists are upset by anything that it is that I'm saying, get it off your chest. If I see it, I just block you. You know, you can find another chat to do that because we don't do that over here. So yeah, if that's what it is that you guys want to do, go ahead, get it off your chest so we can ban you. It's easy because I've done it already. And yeah, I'm gonna piss you guys off even more because I've already voted for Kamala Harris. So yeah, there you go. And the vast majority of New York is gonna be voting for Kamala Harris as well. So yeah. So when you guys try to come, the election was stolen, it wasn't. No, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It won't be.
Yes. No, but you only 30.
Hold on.
We don't lack for good ideas, but we do lack for information about the help that is available. People want to build wealth
Yes.
and intergenerational wealth.
Correct.
And I want to help people do that, right? I know what if folks want to be able to take a nice vacation from time to time, have nice Christmas gifts for their kids under the tree.
Some blacks say the problem that they have to you.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna start that one back over. But big shout outs to John Didier. Thank you so much for sending in that super chat. I sincerely do appreciate that. Harris sent plenty of cartel drug smugglers to prison. Yes, let's co-sign that. Let's give Harris a round of applause for actually doing her job. Let's give her a round of applause for actually doing her job. Right? It is what it is. And now, guess what, guys? We actually have somebody. Can you think about this, guys, for 1 second? For 1 second, I want you guys to think about this. At this very moment, right? At this very moment, we have somebody that's a 34-time felon trying to go back into the White House after what took place on January 6th. January 6th, which they actually spearheaded but pretended as if they didn't. So we have that individual actually trying to get back into the White House. Huh? So that individual actually is trying to get back into the White House. Now, mind you, imagine Tyrone was a 34-time felon talking about he's about to run for office. Run for what? Run for what? Huh? Brother, ain't no way, brother. Ain't no way that's going to happen. What are the standards? And then here's my thing, because I'm going to keep it a buck. There are some people that are innocent that shouldn't be in the position that they're in, right? That shouldn't be incarcerated. There are people that are innocent that are incarcerated. And for those people, my heart goes out to you. And I wish you all the best in appealing your sentence and getting back to your family and healing from the situation that you've been in, right? There are those people. Some of those people happen to be people that Trump himself put out ads in the newspaper to try to get those people put to death, like the Exonerated Five, formerly known as the Central Park Five. The truth gonna hurt some people, but we just getting started. It is what it is. It is what it is, right? And guys, listen, don't take my word for it. Go ahead and do your little research. Google's such a phenomenal site. Google is such a phenomenal website. You get to type some stuff in and they give you some information back. Some of it you kind of have to decipher and sort of compare it. And some of it, maybe not all of it is always 100% right, but for the most part, it's the best one that we have thus far. The best search engine that we have thus far is Google. Google these things. Educate yourself. Find out about these things. So the guy actually went up there, right, when he was debating Kamala Harris. And he actually spoke about the Central Park Five. And what does he do? He proceeds to double and triple down on his stance, even though those teenagers at the time, because they were teenagers at the time when this happened, 14, ranging from ages of 14 to 16. These young men who were teenagers at the time were acquitted. Well, they did serve some time, but later on the charges were dropped. They ended up suing who they needed to sue. I believe it was the city or something along those lines, right? Don't quote me on that, but they ended up getting tens of millions of dollars for that, right? The person who actually did the crime actually confessed to doing the crime, and that person's DNA was actually found there as well. And to be quite blunt and to be quite honest with you guys, right? 26, or is it 27? Mid-20s, close to the 30s, women have come out and accused Donald Trump of doing precisely what he wanted those young Black and Latino men to be put to death for. He was accused of, especially when in regards to the R word, he was accused of that. He was found liable for SA, right? And the only reason why it wasn't the R word is simply because, if my memory serves me right, because the woman that was involved didn't see him sort of insert, that lower part of himself into her. But guys, again, you need to do your research. Don't just take my word or anybody else's word for it. If you really want to know the truth, all you got to do is really Google it. Type in it into Google and do your research. And to be completely honest with you, I don't want my kid growing up looking at this person feeling like this is who they need to try to be like or try to emulate. We need to have standards. We need to be holding the president of the United States to a higher standard than we hold the common people up to. You need to be representing the best of the best that the country has to offer and that the world has to offer. That's who we want up there to represent us. Not the absolute worst that we have, like the MSG rally that they had the other day. It came to my attention today, and you know what? I want to actually fact check myself, but someone actually told me that Trump's father was actually arrested at the KKK rally or something along those lines. We want to educate you guys, so I'm gonna actually take my own advice and I'm gonna Google it. Was Trump's father arrested at a KKK convention? Oh, wow. The Wall Street. Oh my God. Don't tell me I actually just lost that. Whoa, hold on. Wait a second. Okay. All right. Here it is. But let me get out of the Washington Post because they want me to fact check. All right. Okay. That's Twitter. I don't want to go on Twitter. I want to actually find some credible resources. Let's see Business Insider has to say, because I'm not paying for any of these memberships, to be quite honest with you. Oh, Business Insider wants me to pay too. So Washington Post wants me to pay. No, I don't want to just go on Facebook. But anyway, rumor has it that he was, for right now, we're just going to keep it as a rumor, right? We can't substantiate it. But evidently, his father in 1927 was actually arrested at a Ku Klux Klan rally. Hold on. Do I have to pay for this at the Washington Post as well? Start reading. Oh, I got to put in my email address to start reading, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. I'm going to put in my this old email address that I don't even use anymore. I don't have a preference. Skip. Come on, man. Just show me the goddamn. All right. So we're gonna get into it. So the Washington Post, they just asked me to put in my one of these old emails. I'm gonna actually read this article that they have, or we're not gonna read the entire article. We're just gonna kind of just sort of sift through it to find out what actually happened. So Donald Trump's father was arrested twice. NY owner of P.G units seized in code violations. The New York owner of an apartment project in Seat Pleasant was arrested in Prince George County yesterday. See, what I'm gonna do is, because I guess this part right here, it's from like the old days or something, so I can't quite make out the words. Right? It's kind of written kind of like you can't quite make out all the words. Some of the ink is kind of messed up or whatever. But so Prince George County yesterday for not complying with 5 citations for hosting code violations filed against the project 9 months ago. Fred C. Trump, 70, was taken into custody at George Estate. Okay, all right. So that's not showing me everything. Let's skip that. So, and this article was written, again, this is Washington Post, April 4th, 2023. So, former President Donald Trump turned himself into New York authorities on Tuesday on charges aiming from investigation of his hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels in 2016. For the Trump family, it isn't the first time a patriarch has been taken into custody. Trump's father, Fred Trump, was arrested twice in 1927 during a Ku Klux Klan riot, and in 1976 over code violations at a building he owned in Maryland. So I suppose this is what it is. This is it being substantiated right here. This is something that happened in 1927. So in the latter case, Fred, also a real estate developer, was arrested in Prince George County, Maryland, just outside of D.C., and known these days for its team of black women in leadership, for being one of the country's richest majority black counties. Donald Trump told the Washington Post in 2016 he had no idea about his father's 1976 arrest. At the time, Trump was 30 and working for his father's company. Sort of like how he did the rally at MSG the other day, and he had no idea that the comedian went up there on stage, doesn't even know the guy, had nothing to do with him, doesn't know him, right? Doesn't know nothing, right? Whenever Trump is held accountable, he'll deny, he'll deflect, and all of a sudden he has amnesia. He doesn't know nothing. Oh, well, I don't know. Where am I? What's this? Huh? Who are you? This is Trump. This is Trump. So yeah, I just kind of just wanted to substantiate that. We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get too much into it, right? If you guys want to do some research, it's there for you to do your own research, for you to arrive at your own conclusion. We're just stating the facts. This is all that it is that we're doing. I don't care who gets upset about it. The facts are the facts, right? That's all it is. Okay? So, the apple evidently doesn't fall too far from the tree. The guy gets up there and he says, oh, my father told me to never mention Nazis and blah, 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 blah. Okay, sir. I hear you. Same guy actually, guys, sells Bibles. So now I'm going to ask you guys a question, right? So now, I kind of said this yesterday. I'm probably not the most religious person in the world, right? Fair enough. I will willingly admit that. It is what it is. Even though I'm not the most religious person in the world, I do know that there are some good things about certain books in the Bible, right? Certain things that you could actually take a piece from and say, oh, cool, wow, you know what? I could actually apply this to my life, because in Proverbs and in Psalms or whatever it is, these guys have actually learned some things that actually can make some sense. So now, Donald Trump actually sat down there, guys. He sat down there with some interviewers. You can't make this stuff up. He sat down with some interviewers, right? And he was actually asked about his favorite verse from his favorite book, which is the Bible, right? Mind you, this guy is actually selling people Bibles as well. Guys, he is selling Bibles as well. So, if somebody asked me, what was my favorite movie, maybe I'll struggle. Maybe I'll say, there's too many to pick from, and then I might pick one, right? I might say, Gladiator was a pretty good movie, or I might say Limitless was a pretty good movie, or I might say Training Day was a pretty good movie. Well, what was so good about any of these movies? Well, my favorite part in Gladiator was when he had a sword in his hand and he was frustrated and he tossed something down, whether it was a helmet or something, and he goes, "Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?" Right? So I would be able to quote my favorite part from one of my favorite movies. Right? I probably watched it twice, maybe 3 times. The other day I watched it again, but the first time was like 20-something odd years ago. And I watched it again the other day. Those are the 2 times that really come to my mind, but I'm saying I might have seen it a 3rd time. But even then, I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that you sent that in. See you later, Fatwad. But even then, I'm able to quote that, right? So I'm actually going to play you guys the audio again, because I just absolutely, this is just golden. It's like when you're a kid, right? You're a kid and you didn't do your homework or something, and your teacher asks you to do like a book report or whatever it is, and you don't even know what to say because you didn't read the book. You didn't read the book, right? And I'm sure somebody in his team knows something about the Bible that they could have told him a verse before he went on or something. But here, listen for yourself.
You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what 1 or 2 of your most favorite Bible verses are and
I
why?
wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that
No,
you like?
I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible. The whole Bible is an incredible. I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
There was new fallout.
Oh, it's very special. Special enough for me to sell you the Bible, but I can't necessarily quote a section from the Bible, right? I mean, this guy seems to be so open about everything else. Even the personal stuff. He doesn't mind sharing personal things. He got up there on stage and he was very descriptive about Arnold Palmer and what he looks like naked. But you can't tell me a Bible verse? Me, who's a spiritual being, having a human experience, not necessarily religious, I could get up here and I could say, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. And it's just little old me. Google Kamala's brother Tony West responsible for embezzlement of $1.3 billion. Did Kamala Harris embezzle $1.3 billion? Moreover, you know what? I would entice you on that, as a matter of fact. But that's not Kamala Harris, is it? No, it's not. It's not Kamala Harris's father either, is it? No, it's not. Is she responsible for what her brother did? Her brother has his own mind. Her brother has his own choices. Her brother does what her brother does. Have you not seen households where two people come up in the same household? One takes a path that's completely different from the other? Is this something new? It is not. Right? So if this is your attempt to try to throw smut on Kamala's name, I don't even know what it is that you're talking about, good sir. I'm going to Donald Trump you right now. Where are we going with this? What exactly do you want me to do with that information? I don't know what it is that you want me to do with that. But thank you so much for the super chat, though. I really appreciate that. Big up yourself. And thank you so much for sharing. You the man, you the man. But I can't do nothing with that information. I'm sorry. Come with something better. Right? Come with something better. Not that. I'm not responsible for what my brother does. I'm not. Right? I'm just not. Know where we're going with that. But yeah. Yeah. You want to know something funny? I would get into this, kind of what Dave Bautista said about Donald Trump. But I don't want to get too much into that. I think I want to talk about something else, actually, because I did earlier. I actually did see something on Midas Touch. Was it Midas Touch? No, it was Adam Mockler, actually. It was Adam Mockler that was actually saying something.
All right. There is no point in...
First of all, big shout outs to Adam Mockler. I didn't even know Adam Mockler and Midas Touch were actually intertwined together, right? But I discovered these guys probably about a month ago. But in terms of keeping me up to date on what it is that's going on, whenever I click these videos, like, because Adam Mockler actually, you know, what I've grown to understand about him is he actually goes to these Trump rallies. He's not a Trump supporter, but he goes to the Trump rallies and he actually challenges these people, right? And sometimes the bizarre answers that some of these Trump supporters give, it's like, yo, Adam, why are you wasting your time? But he has a method to his madness, or I guess maybe madness isn't what the term that I should use, but a method to the madness, right? In terms of him actually going out there and having dialogue, because he's actually giving awareness to these people. But I'm not entirely sure if these people actually want awareness. I think a lot of them kind of just want to believe what it is that they believe. I think a lot of those people are comfortable being in the cult that they're in. A wise man once told me back in the day, don't argue with fools, right? Simply do not argue with fools, right? If that's something that these people believe, let them go on right ahead and believe that. It is what it is. It's no big deal. Just keep it pushing. You know what I mean? But Adam Mockler, big shout outs to that guy. Young guy. He's probably like in his early 20s or something. But he's very smart. Very smart kid. And, you know, this, I believe, is his latest video, right? He said, watch as Trump, Fox host realizes Trump nuked his campaign. Let's hear what it is, because I haven't watched it yet. Let's hear what it is that Adam Mockler has to say about this. Hold on. I see a super chat just came in. He isn't his father either. Yeah, I already mentioned that he isn't his father, right? And I mentioned that her brother isn't her father either. I mentioned both things. Moreover, Donald Trump is showing that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? He's showing that he actually looked up to his father. It is what it is. His father is the one that left him that inheritance money, is it not? His father is the one that is responsible for laying down and playing a part in him being alive, is he not? Kamala Harris chose to live a prosperous life. She chose to live a good life. She chose to be a clean person. If her brother came up there and her brother did something, it is what it is. Talk about how the mainstream media outlets have her 3 questions of time of the debate. Huh? Hold on. Talk about how the mainstream media outlets have her the questionings ahead of the debate. Oh, you're trying to say that they gave her the questions before the debate. This is what you're saying. Listen, good sir. These are conspiracy theories. Thank you so much, by the way, for sending in the super chat. But you actually just pulled that out of the air, right? And maybe this is something that you guys discuss amongst your friend group, and you say it with such passion and such enthusiasm that you begin to fool yourself into believing that it's true. You begin to fool yourself into believing that somebody who's a prosecutor, someone who actually went to law school, someone who actually, this is what it is that they did for a living, that somebody like Donald Trump, who's an absolute numbskull, can articulate himself in a way that will come anywhere close to her stratosphere. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how delusional you have to be to think Donald Trump is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with somebody that's far more intellectual than he is. Right? I see the running jokes, oh, low IQ. If she has low IQ, then he has no IQ. We just got to keep it how it is. You're running around, oh, low IQ, oh, tampon Tim, oh, this, that, and the third. Bro, she's actually way smarter than you. She actually wasn't left with any inheritance money. She actually had to work for what it is that she's gotten in life, and she's propelled herself with all the odds against her to be this close to being the leader of our country as a female. As a female, black and Indian female. with all the odds against her, she rose above and she made something of herself. Nothing was handed to her. Let's talk about that. How come nobody don't want to talk about that? How come the room get quiet when it's time to talk about those things? Why does the room get quiet when it comes time to talk about those things? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what happened at the racist rally over there at MSG. Let's talk about that. Come on, guys. Don't get quiet now. Why? Because she wiped the floor with Donald Trump in the debate? Is that why? Because she allowed him to make a fool of herself? And then she just put her hand on her chin and just watched? Huh? Is that what? Let's talk about that. How come nobody don't want to talk about that? Come on, guys. How come nobody don't want to talk about that? I don't think that's fair. We ought to talk about that. Appreciate you though, Clay. Thank you so much for sending in that super chat. But let's talk about that. You want to talk about rumors about Trump's father? Why not pull up Kamala's op-ed and see how he feels about his own daughter? Bet you won't. Pull up Kamala's what? Father's op-ed and see how he feels about his own daughter? Oh, you guys. Oh, you're trying. You really are trying. I appreciate the super chat, though. Mad Libs. I sincerely do appreciate the super chat. How about we talk about Donald Trump's niece and nephew? The people that know Donald Trump very, very well. Right? Let's talk about how the niece actually psychoanalyzed Donald Trump. Because you guys like to make up these rumors and, you know, I'm just going to type something into Google. Matter of fact, this is exactly what I'm going to type in, right? I'm going to type in Donald Trump niece. Let's talk about Donald Trump's. Okay, you see? Donald Trump's niece. This is what pops up. Mary L. Trump. Let's get into Mary L. Trump. And then, actually, you know what? Let's click the first video that we see Mary L. Trump. Look, guys, I just type in Donald Trump's niece, right? Let's click the first video that we see on Google. What does Donald Trump's niece actually have to say? Hold on. Let's visit.
Now, in this busy week of diplomacy, world leaders are weighing up what a second Trump term could mean for the U.S. and beyond. To the former president's niece, Mary Trump.
We're not going to read this whole thing. But you know what? As a matter of fact, it says it right here. You guys can actually look at it for yourself, right? I'm not going to get too much into it. Mary Trump, cruelty was currency in the Trump family. Cruelty was currency in the Trump family. Cruelty was currency in the Trump family. This is coming from Mary Trump. This is Trump's niece. Now, mind you, let me tell you guys something. Let me break something down for you guys, right? Now, you guys might be in families, right? And sometimes you may not see eye to eye with your brother. Sometimes you and your brother may be at odds. Cool. Your brother's at odds with you. It is what it is. Okay. You guys are beefing for whatever, right? He took the last steak out of the fridge. I don't know. I'm pescatarian. I don't eat that stuff. You guys do. But it is what some of you guys anyway. But he took the last steak out of the fridge. And now you guys are at odds, right? And so for some reason, that little steak that he took out of the fridge cost you guys your relationship. So now you're at odds with your brother. But your brother actually has a kid. But that's still your niece. This is still your niece, right? So now, because you and your brother are now beefing, doesn't mean that you and your niece need to be at odds as well. You're still uncle. You still got to check in on your niece. Make sure that she's okay. Regardless of what it is that's taking place between you and your brother. Right? So now the niece, you as an uncle, your niece is supposed to be, she's supposed to love her uncle. Regardless of whatever it is that happened between uncle and father. Regardless. But she's saying it because she grew up in it. And a lot of times some people grow up in situations and because they have a mind of their own, they're able to see it objectively. They're like, hold on, wait a second. The way that my family is structured, this is how they make me feel. They make me feel low vibrational. I feel angry when I'm around them. There's always quarreling. There's always backstabbing. There's always ruthlessness. I need to separate myself and get away from this family. And she speaks about it in detail. So you guys can actually do a little bit of research on that. Okay, so you guys want me to bring up Kamala's dad? Okay, let's get into Kamala's dad. All right, fine. Kamala's dad, everybody, oh, Kamala's dad, Kamala's dad. It is what it is, right? Sometimes people's father is just, they're just not around sometimes. It is what it is, right? It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So Kamala's dad, right? So all I did was type in. So since I'm going to be transparent, I only typed in Donald Trump's niece. Now I'm going to type in Kamala's dad and see what comes up, right? This is all I'm going to type in. So see, being transparent, Kamala's dad, Donald J. Harris, right? Shares the same last name as I do. Shares the same roots as I do. He's born in Brownstown, Jamaica, right? But yeah. So the first thing that comes up actually is Wikipedia. What the hell just happened here? I hate when this thing does this. Oh, please don't do this. Come on. Oh, crap. All right, so the first thing that comes up is Wikipedia, but we're not going to get into Wikipedia. How the hell did I even do this, bro? There we go. All right, cool. So the New York Times article, and if I got to sign up for New York Times, I'm not doing it. I'm not giving you my email address, right? Okay, so let's click this one that says, who is Kamala's father? Donald J. Harris, right? Donald J. Harris. I don't like the first two parts of, the first two parts of his name, but it is what it is, right? You know, you can't necessarily choose that. I got a cousin named Donald as well, but I'm sure his middle name isn't J. So we're getting this from Town and Country Mag, right? Now, since we're being transparent, right? I just clicked the first article that I saw. I clicked the first video, didn't watch the video, but now we're going even in depth, right? Because maybe this is something that we all could kind of learn from, and this is just a perspective. He's not saying this himself, but let's get into it. Kamala Harris's father, Donald J. Trump, is an award-winning Stanford professor. The Economist immigrated to the U.S. from Jamaica for his Ph.D. As vice president, Kamala Harris campaigns for president. Her life, family, and career is firmly in the spotlight. In January 2021, when Kamala was sworn in as vice president of the United States, she made American history as the first black woman and first Indian American to hold this office. Harris isn't unfamiliar with being a first in her field, however. In 2011, Harris also made history when she was elected as the first black and Indian American woman to serve in California's Attorney General, right? As a lawyer and U.S. Senator, Harris's identity in both her personal life and political life has been largely shaped by her background. Her late mother, Shyamala Gopalan, right? Hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right. If not, R.I.P., God bless her mother, who passed away in 2009, was an Indian immigrant, and her father, Donald J. Trump, is a Jamaican immigrant. Okay, cool. During the DNC in August 2020, Harris reflected on her upbringing, making brief mentions of her father. At the University of California, Berkeley, my mother met my father, Donald Harris, who came from Jamaica to study economics. They fell in love in the most American way while marching together for justice, the civil rights movement in the 1960s. Brilliant. That sounds great. That sounds phenomenal. Already, it is a phenomenal love story. In the streets of Oakland and Berkeley, I got a stroller's eye view of people getting into what the great John Lewis called good trouble. In 2018, in a 2018 essay written by Donald Trump entitled Reflections of Jamaican Father, he noted that he's always pushed for Kamala and her sister Maya to uphold a connection to their Jamaican roots as well as their American ones. I don't see any negativity thus far. To this day, I continue to retain the deep social awareness and strong sense of identity, which that grassroots Jamaican philosophy fed in me, he wrote. As a father, I naturally sought to develop the same sensibility in my two daughters. While Harris is very vocal about her Indian and Jamaican roots, it's not often that she speaks about her father. Below, here's what to know about Donald J. Harris. Right? So we're getting into it, guys. I do appreciate that. Maybe someone else. Okay. So I do appreciate you guys, right? So it is what it is. I don't see anything negative so far, but we're going to get into it. He came to the United States to study economics. Donald J. Harris was born in Jamaica in 1938 and moved to the United States in the 1960s to get his PhD in the University of California, Berkeley. He later became naturalized as a U.S. citizen. Harris taught at the University of Illinois and Northwestern University briefly, then became an associate's professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison before moving to California and securing a job as professor of economics at the Stanford University. Now, after retiring in the late 1990s, he holds the title of emeritus professor. I don't even know what that means, but big up to him. He spent many years at Stanford University, according to Harris's Stanford bio. His research and publications centered on exploring the analytics. I don't see anything. All right, so let's get to this part. He and Kamala's mother met at Berkeley's during the civil rights movement. Right? Okay. He and Kamala's mother divorced when she was 7 years old. So maybe we're getting into it now. Who knows, right? Kamala was just 7 years old when her parents separated and her mother was granted full custody of Kamala and her sister Maya. In the 2018 essay mentioned earlier, Donald went into some detail about their divorce, noting that it came to an abrupt halt in 1972 after he lost a hard-fought custody battle in the family court of Oakland, California. Despite the terms of their divorce, Harris claims that his love for his family didn't end when his marriage did. Nevertheless, I persisted, never giving up on my love for my children or reneging on my responsibilities as their father. I don't see anything negative yet. He made sure his daughters celebrated their heritage. He famously criticized the joke Kamala made about her Jamaican roots. I don't see nothing negative, guys. I don't see the negativity you guys are talking about. She has an estranged dad. Her parents got divorced. Guys, I get it. My parents separated when I was young too. My parents' separated when they were young. My great-grandparents were married, stayed married together, and one passed away, then the other one passed away. Yes. Fairly recently as well, not too long ago. But yeah, these are things that actually happen, guys. I don't. What exactly is the dirt that you guys want me to bring up on Kamala Harris? What exactly is it? There are people out there, guys, who don't do crime and who are not nasty people. There are people out there who don't do crime and are not nasty people. There are fair people out there, guys. There are people with morals out there. Please believe that. You chose the first article, and on Trump's dad, Google a specific title in Google. Okay. All right. Okay. On the last thing that I typed in when I typed in Trump's niece, I clicked on the first video, didn't even read it. And the reason why I didn't choose the first article, as I mentioned, is because the first article wanted me to sign up. So I couldn't sign up. I didn't want to pay to sign up. I'm sorry. So what did I do? I found an article. Why? Because I actually I was doing research to find out if what I was saying was actually substantiated when I said that his father was arrested at a Klan convention. This is what I was doing. So there was something that I was specifically looking for. So whatever it is that you're trying to do, that's not what it is. Right? But it is what it is. I do appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really do. Please, everybody, Google newest bank and George Soros sponsorship of Kamala for Attorney General of California. Here we go with George Soros. What about Elon Musk? Elon Musk actually trying to manipulate people over there in Pennsylvania. How come you guys haven't gotten into that? Huh? Is it because you're afraid of him? Because of all of the money and influence that he has? Listen, guys. We all know that there's a such thing as election interference, and that's not something that's the American way. You can't do it. You're not supposed to do it. Don't interfere in the election. You can't do it. Yet, they're trying to interfere in the election. So, all right. Yeah, so we all know that you can't interfere in the election. The election has to be fair, right? We need fair election in order for the democracy to keep moving forward. Or if people want to call it a democratic republic or republic or whatever it is. But we need a fair election, right? So the people that are out there burning the ballots, burning the boxes, burning where people are putting their envelopes, right, in order to get their vote counted, that is absolutely unacceptable. The people that are out there trying to pay people to sign petitions or whatever it is, absolutely unacceptable. But now it seems as if Philadelphia or Pennsylvania or something like that, they're actually suing this guy for what it is that he did. Right? So, he should have known better, but I guess they were trying to find a loophole or something. Not entirely sure how that went. But yeah, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. All BS aside, brother, Google Good Directive 5240.01. The Dems signed it into law, the military to use lethal force on U.S. citizens. Oh, stop it. Come on. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Listen, guys. All right, okay, cool. I'm going to save that for another day, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually screenshot this, right? I'm going to screenshot it. I just screenshotted it, okay? Screenshot. It's there to the side, right? But I remember Donald Trump actually asking for the National Guards to be used against protesters that were protesting, right? And then at the same time, not at the same exact time, but not too long afterwards, there were people trying to siege the White House in his name and in his honor. But he didn't request for the National Guards to be used against those people. Did he? No, he didn't. He did not. And I'm going to tell you guys something else that you didn't know. Black people would not be able to vote if not for the Democrats. Did you know that? Did you guys know that? We wouldn't have been able to participate if not for the Democrats. Now, at one point, the Democrats were the extremists. But at some point, the Democrats actually, the tables were actually flipped. And it wasn't the Democrats anymore. And we see it live and in living color, exactly what it is that's going on. So we're not here to say that the Democrats are perfect. We're not here to say anybody is perfect. We're not to say we're all flawed human beings, spiritual beings having this human experience, and we all have our flaws. It is what it is, right? So we're not saying that the Democrats are perfect or the Republicans are perfect. That's not what it is that we're saying. But I do remember Donald Trump doing those things. I do remember those things actually happening. Among a lot of other things as well. And we're going to get into more of those things at another time, right? I would want to sit here with you guys. I think this was an absolutely phenomenal chat. I do appreciate everyone who has tapped in with us. Thank you guys so much. Yeah. And Miss Rosa Parks was a registered car owner. Bro, Fisher. Oh my God. All right, Fisher. Don't do that, because a lawyer actually said this. A lawyer actually was the one that brought this to my attention. If you type in what party made blacks vote, the first thing that you'll see come up is African Americans in the Democratic Party. That's the first thing you're going to see come up. Right? That's the absolute first thing. And you're going to see blacks and the Democratic Party. Right? So what exactly do you mean, young brother? Come on, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Come on, bro. Don't do that to me. I do appreciate this conversation, though. And even if we didn't agree, this is an important conversation to have because it's an important time in our country. And I wish you guys nothing but the best, right? In the future, I hope that we don't have as much division as we do right now. And I think we're taking steps toward that. And I don't want anybody to undo all the hard work that we've been doing up until this point. So I don't like when people kind of sow seeds of separation and hatred, right? And I think that's what a lot of the Republicans are doing. I think that's what Donald Trump is doing at this point. And I think he's sort of spearheading, and we can't even say the Republicans because there are a lot of Republicans that don't think the same way as Donald Trump. However, there are some Republicans, guys, there are some Republicans that think exactly how he thinks. And we see it day in and day out. We see it at these rallies. We see that he employs all these yes men around him. But shout outs to all the Republicans that, you know, the last regime, the last reign that Donald Trump had, they decided they wasn't going to work for him no more because they know exactly who he is. So big shout out to Mike Pence, General Milley, Mark Milley, Kelly. Big shout outs to all of those guys. Big shout outs to every single one of them. Oh, stop it. Your only argument, the Democratic Party has ruined the black community. But really, who cares about their families? What are they going to do in the next 4 years? You really think the Democratic Party has ruined the black family? Come on, brother. Don't do that, brother. Come on. Mississippi Skinny, don't do that, brother. How did the Democratic Party ruin the black families? Come on, brother. Let's not do that. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research on that. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I know that there is one particular party that's not necessarily for black people. And I know that there's another particular party, right, where I've seen a president actually, a black man actually get elected to being a president. See, a party where a black woman was the vice president, soon to be the next president. I see a party that kind of tolerates people regardless of their ethnic background. I see a party that tolerates people's diversity. When I see the Democratic Party, I'm not saying any party's perfect. I'm not saying the Democratic Party is perfect. But it is what it is right now, guys. But I do appreciate this conversation. I really sincerely, this was a phenomenal stream, guys. I will be back again. I'm always doing these streams. Up until Election Day, I will continue to do these streams. And then we're going to transition into something else. But make sure you guys register to vote. I voted today. I got my pen. Do I even have my pen? God damn it. I left my pen in the goddamn car. I got my pen. I got my sticker. I don't even have my sticker with me. So I can't even really show you guys. So you just got to take my word for it. But I did vote today. Make sure you guys register to vote. Thank you guys so much. Let's make America better than it's ever been before. Let's not go back. Let's make it better than it's ever been. Let's look forward to the future. Big up yourselves, guys. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Take care. God bless you all.